Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question, it will get moved to the top. And I've been getting so many questions that I can't even answer all those right away, so just please keep putting repeat question and I promise I'll get to you. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. But before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is ARIZONATCG. If you guys have a couple graded cards or a ton of graded cards you're looking to sell, ARIZONATCG is perfect, especially right now. They're doing 50% off your very first submission. You just got to use the code BEARD at checkout, and they are going to continue it through November also. So all of November, you guys can get 50% off your very first submission. But all you got to do is send them all your graded cards. They're going to handle everything. They're going to take professional scans. Then they're going to post it to their massive weekly eBay auctions, which has a ton of followers. So you're going to get so many eyes on your cards. You can also change it to buy it now. You have full control. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. Then also we dropped our very first merch. The binder bound t-shirt and hoodie is available right now. We got the PB on the coffee cup. Super, super cool merch. And then also, if you're going to grade through PSA for your very first time, you can click my link in the description to get $25 off. That's basically a free graded card. So definitely check that out. All right, very first question, and this is pretty much what everybody's been talking about, is from @GingGod65. Is this recent decline in Pokemon permanent, or is this just a potential market correction? So let's take a little peek. I think it's a market correction. Everything is just so expensive right now. These boxes shouldn't be at these prices yet. This is just way too fast. So it totally makes sense for stuff to come down in price. People just got so used to everything going up every single week that now when stuff comes down, they think it's going to be a crash. But this happens all the time. We can take a look. We got the Snorlax Pokemon Center promo. So this is the 1 year chart. So 1 year ago was $100, went up to $199 in February. February 25th. Then it went down to $130 in July. And now it's been slowly going back up to, $260. And now it'll probably come back down a little bit. But we had a ton of stuff go down in the summer and, not a ton of people were making, is the market crashing videos. But this is very, very normal. This happens constantly, especially with cards. So let's take another look here. We got the Charmander promo, same chart. It was at 79, went up to 173. Back down to 96, up to 247, coming down right now. And then we have the Bubble Mew. This was at $425, got down to 296, now went up to 698 and coming down right now. Pikachu EX from Surging Sparks. This was at $485, went down to 253, and then it's going up right now, back up to 348, and then we'll probably come back down to like 290 or something. And then we even got some booster boxes, not as dramatic usually with the booster boxes, but I have a feeling some of the booster boxes will come down a decent amount right now just because they shot up so fast. Because if you look, here's Lost Origin, went from $395 and then went to $534 and then went back down to like $490-ish. But as you can see, it went from $381 to $520, like that was a jump. But then this jump went from $492 to $823. So that's a massive jump. So it makes sense for them to come down a little bit more than what they did before. Because yeah, Lost Origin was $822. Now last sold $730, $729, $750. And then Brilliant Stars, same exact looking chart as Lost Origin, just not as expensive, obviously, because it's, a $500 booster box. And then graded cards, that happens constantly. Here's a Blaziken VMAX from Chilean Rain. Went up to $537, back down to $406. Back up to $670, down to about $597, then went up to, almost $1,200. And then it's coming down a little bit right now, back down to $1,053. And then here's the Gengar VMAX, even a little bit more popular. So this is the all-time chart. This is on PokeData. I think you have to pay for the Pro membership, to get the all-time chart, but I feel like a lot of people don't ever use it. I love it. I use it constantly. But Gengar, same exact thing. So as of right now, I think it's just a market correction. And to be honest, I feel like the hobby really needed it. Stuff was getting so expensive to where nobody can really even open up packs anymore unless you get lucky at the store, which is tough nowadays because there's just so many scalpers and stuff. But I think this is a good thing for stuff to come down in price. I know it sucks when you see your collector go down. Trust me, I know it sucks. But it's a good opportunity for us to pick up some more stuff for the future. You know, always just try to be positive and look at the good stuff. You know, it sucks when your booster box goes from $400 down to $200, but just imagine picking up a bunch of Destined Rivals booster boxes at $200 or $150 or $250 or whatever it is, you know. Just try to look at the positives. And, you know, if you're actually investing, it's a long-term thing. Normally, you know, booster boxes go from like $100 to $200, and that takes a while, like a couple years sometimes. So it's not normal for this stuff to be this crazy this fast. So I have a feeling a lot of stuff will come down, level out, and then there's probably going to be a bunch of buyouts. I'm sure people will start buying up some crazy stuff right now because there's just so much money in the market that people know when this stuff comes down, you know, they can buy a bunch of it, jack the price up, and then it makes people FOMO. We still have some illustration rares right now getting spiked up randomly. You know, there's just a bunch sold on TCG Player that day, and then the next day it's, you know, double the price. But all right, next question. This is from Ethan Chuang. Hello, Sir Beard. Do you think the Charizard Red and Blue Collection box will go up once 30th anniversary gets closer? It's around 1K now, and I was thinking of using it for trade for an Aquapolis Lugia in December for Collecticon. However, should I wait a little longer if it still has more room to grow? So in my opinion, these are Grail boxes. Like if you have all four of these on display, to me, that looks cooler than pretty much any ETBs you could have or pretty much any booster boxes you can have. But you can get them in Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur, and Pikachu. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Last of all, we got the Blastoise at $850, Venusaur 780. Is that the Charizard at 1029? Let's see if we can find the Pikachu. Bunch more Charizards, 1200. Here we got a Pikachu at 1349. But if you guys have not seen these boxes, check this out. Look at that, sold like that with a crease on it. But yeah, I do think these are going to go up in price once we have our 30th anniversary. These are 20th anniversary products, which is why I was so disappointed in the 25th anniversary products that we got. It just was rough compared to these. Because, I mean, check this Pikachu box out. Super awesome Pikachu statue, one of the greatest Pikachu cards ever. And then we're getting generation packs, you know, with super cool art on them. Charizard, Pikachu, Blastoise, Venusaur. Such awesome boxes. So I would probably hold out a little longer till the 30th anniversary, in my opinion. But to be honest, if it were me, I'd hold them forever. I'm actually looking to pick all of these up very, very soon. Every time I see one, though, there is a dent or a crease in it. It's driving me nuts, and I really want these minty for display. Some of the few collection boxes I actually do not have because I opened all of mine up because I really, really wanted the promos. And we did pretty good opening the packs, too, to be honest. Next is from James Stuff. Repeat question. Trainers seem to be out of favor at the moment, so what trainers do you think it's good to pick up? Erica's Invitation alt is looking very affordable. Thank you. So I just like the trainers with Pokemon in them. To be honest. But yeah, Erica's Invitation, that's going to be a very solid pickup in my opinion. It's 151. Same thing with Giovanni's Charisma. You know, this got up to $16, coming back down right now. But yeah, I like the ones with Pokemon in there. We got Lucario and stuff. Bunch of Pokemon on that Eerie card, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. And like this Clive card, look how many Pokemon are in here. Even a Sylveon. Not my favorite art style, but English trainers usually never do that good. So I would definitely wait for a lot of these to come down in price and then maybe stock up on some of the more popular ones like the 151 cards or whatever. But in my opinion, the ones with the Pokemon should be worth a lot more because you're actually getting a Pokemon in there. But again, that's not really how it works for trainers. Next is from Curtis Letty. Thoughts on the future of Blue Label CGC Pristine 10s with subgrades. So I actually have a buddy who only collects those right now. He's obsessed with them for some reason. And he actually cross-graded one, and he got a black label. It's for Japanese alternate art. I don't remember what it was, but still really cool. If you guys do not know, this was CGC's original label, and you can get the Pristine 10, and it had all the subgrades on the actual label, which I'm a fan of. I like these a lot more than what they have now. I think the new label looks a little more premium, but I do miss the subgrades. You can also find them without subgrades too. But yeah, I know quite a few people that are collecting these subgrades. So I think that would be kind of a cool little unique collection. But again, CGC is very, very tough to sell in the future because not very many people collect CGC compared to PSA. So you have to keep that in mind. Yeah, I really like subgrades on slabs. I think they should be on every single slab. Even just put it on the back of the label is fine, just so we have more information on the card right there. But let me know down below, do you guys like the new CGC Pristine 10s or these blue CGC Pristine 10s with the subgrades? All right, next question is from Ayo Famous. Oh, holy beard. Hope you're having a great week so far. Thank you. Your videos continue to be my morning news. Will Paradox Rift ever get the love it deserves? It has some of the coolest looking IRs, and the Roaring Moon is one of my favorite SIRs in the SV era. So underrated. Yeah, I'm still a really big fan of Paradox Rift. I think it's a perfect set. It's just missing like that one card or that one really, really popular Pokemon that's, you know, super expensive, like that big chase. But the Paradox Rift booster box was doing really good. Went up to $325 and coming down right now at $268. Definitely one of the cheaper booster boxes. Last sold $251, $261. But still, when we were buying Paradox Rift, you know, when people were calling us dumb, these boxes were $80 a box all day long. I think I even got a couple at like $75 because people just wanted them gone. But I will admit the last sets that we got are better than Paradox Rift. Like Surging Sparks is pretty tough to beat because they got the 3 big chase special illustration rares of really popular Pokemon, you know, Destined Rivals, Prismatic Evolutions with all the evolutions. So it's tough to compete with them. But if you really look at the set, it's a very, very solid set. Like I said, it's just missing that one big guy. We got it for the illustration rares. I mean, just these 3 right here. Groudon, Steelix, Yveltal. That's a crazy lineup for illustration rares. Not to mention, we also got Minimum Plusle, Swablu, Magby, and then the special illustration rares. The reason why I love this set so much is because we were getting so many, you know, pure Gen 9 sets that this was like kind of the first set where they actually sprinkled in some pretty popular Pokemon throughout the generations. But the one thing I loved about Paradox Rift compared to like Paldea Evolved was the variety of SIRs. Paldea Evolved is pure Gen 9 SIRs. And then we got Paradox Rift, which has Altaria, Garchomp, Tapu Koko, Golisopod. Tapu Koko is one of my favorite Pokemon. Such a unique art. You know, very affordable, only $17. But yeah, like I said, it's tough to compete with those last few sets that the Scarlet and Violet era put out. Especially with no super high chase card. You know, compare this set to Twilight Masquerade, people will like Twilight Masquerade better just because it has that one big Greninja. So it makes it worth it to, you know, open up a couple packs here and there. But I feel, yeah, I love Paradox Rift also. Next is from In Christ Carpentry. Hey Beard, do you agree that Eerie special illustration rare from Temporal Forces is underrated and undervalued? Why or why not? So that's what we were talking about before. I think this is one of the cooler trainer cards that we've gotten. You know, just having the Lucario in there alone is a win for me because I feel like Lucario does not get a lot of love on Pokemon cards. But yeah, I think it's somewhat underrated. Let's check the 1 year high. $21 and the 1 year low is like $14, which is what it's at right now. So yeah, I definitely feel like it's a little underrated. Next is from Harrison Hinton. Do you think the most recent prize pack cards, mainly Umbreon EX and Pikachu EX, are undervalued? They seem very rare for the price right now. Thanks. Let's take a little peek. Here is the Umbreon. So it was at $58, went all the way up to $75, coming back down right now. Last sold $52, $50, $53, $49. So if you go back and look at the VMAX one, prize pack series. This is selling right now for $219 for lightly played, otherwise $220, $218, $201. So, I mean, comparing it to that, and then even the regular Umbreon V prize pack series is $42. I feel like that's an okay pickup. I mean, we see the potential of what the VMAX did, and this is about as low as it's been. And here's the Pikachu coming down right now. So Pikachu was at $68. Now last sold $26, $30, $25, $27. So yeah, in my opinion, I feel like those are 2 very solid prize pack cards you could definitely pick up. All right, next is from YT Shorts. Do you think I should buy Japanese Glory of Team Rocket right now? So I love Glory of Team Rocket. I think it's super cool. In my opinion, I wouldn't go super crazy. I'm definitely grabbing some when I see them every once in a while. But just know when Japanese does a reprint, they really do a reprint, and it usually makes the box get very cheap. We've seen it with 151 many, many times, where 151 got all the way down to $50, $60 a box. So like I said, I probably wouldn't go crazy. You know, pick up some here and there, and then once they do the big reprint and it drops, that's your time to go absolutely insane. I'm going to do the same thing. Hey Beard, I recently traded my Greninja and Kingdra promos in 10s. I bought them for $160 in January. Traded them for the Lugia V, Leafeon V, Raichu IR, and $325 cash. I used some of the cash to buy back the promos raw. I'm very happy with it, but just wanted to get your opinion. Thank you. I think that's very solid. That's how you are supposed to collect and really grow your collection, so that way you can actually save money. I know it sucks you don't have those PSA 10s anymore, but now you have so many more cards that you can actually enjoy. This is the stuff that I've been doing forever. And if you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and finish your collections, then you can go back and, maybe pick up a couple random PSA 10s that you had before or anything that you did miss that you got rid of. But yeah, very solid. Next is from the retrospective guy. Oh, lovely, glorious, bearded individual. Thank you. What's your thoughts of all the new Mega Evolutions? I don't hate them. I feel like I'm one of the people who doesn't really complain a ton when it comes to like new Pokemon and new Mega Evolutions. Like everybody hates the Dragonite. I am totally fine with the Dragonite. Even the Stormy I don't hate. I think it's actually hilarious that they did that. That's actually one of my favorite ones, to be honest, just because it's just so ridiculous. They just extended the legs and it's running around. But yeah, I don't hate them. Let me know down below which one is your favorite Mega Evolution, and then let me know your least favorite Mega Evolution. Next is from Baramis. Hey Beard, I got 4 Lugia V 186 from Silver Tempest. 2 I sent integrating. Do you think I should hold all of them for several years or sell them? Well, since you have 4 and it's the most expensive the card has pretty much ever been, might be a decent time to maybe sell 2 of them or something like that. Keep 2 and invest into a couple new boxes or other cards or something. Next is from Taystar. Question, where's the best place to buy sealed cases of all different products? Is it eBay? Is there another place I don't know about? I know you have a deal with your local card shop. Is that the best option? Thanks for the advice. Love the content as always. So I really like to get my stuff from the store. In my opinion, that's the best and safest option because they're getting it from a distributor most of the time. But you can get stuff. I would be a little sketched out of getting a lot of sealed cases from like random sellers on eBay, especially if they are newer or they do not have, a ton of sales or like perfect reviews. But there's a lot of big like auction houses and stuff that are very trustworthy and are legit that sell cases all the time. So that's probably your second best option. But again, those can get pretty expensive because there's so many eyes on it. So like I said, your best bet is starting a good relationship with your store. And if you are going to buy something locally, like let's say from Facebook Marketplace, a sealed case, just please check the case very carefully. A lot of people will mess with them and, take stuff out and puts new stuff in and retape it. And they'll be like, oh no, it was retaped at, the Pokemon Center or whatever it is. So just keep your eye out for stuff like that. Better safe than sorry. Next is from Heaton3. Hey, PokeBeard, God bless you and your family, and thank you for all the videos. Thank you. I just wanted to know what you think about me tearing down my master set of Paradox Rift because I'm not interested anymore, so I could try to complete base set 2 for my PC and trade for a sealed product. I think that's totally fine. Maybe just keep your couple favorite cards from the Paradox Rift set, sell everything else, and reinvest it into stuff that you want now. That's going to happen a ton when you guys are collecting and investing into Pokemon. Your collection right now might be 100% different next year. The stuff you love right now, you might not love at all next year. It's kind of crazy how sometimes things can change, or you'll find out some new info or new cards, and you'll just fall in love with them. So that is totally normal. Next is from Bone Apple Teeth. My beloved bearded boy, my steel collection has been growing as of late, and I am slowly losing space in my closet. I have lots of collection boxes, blister packs, a few ETBs, and booster bundles. Do you think it would be wise to consolidate all this value into some booster boxes? I'm worried about putting all my eggs in one basket. Keep up the great work. So it really depends on what you have. Maybe just keep your top 10 favorite or your top 10 best sealed products. Sell all the rest. So that way you can maybe pick up a couple booster boxes to add to the collection. But I probably wouldn't sell everything, especially if you got a lot of the stuff at MSRP and for good deals. I don't know what you have. Could be 151 or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, just keep your best stuff, sell the stuff you're not a big fan of, and pick up a couple booster boxes. Next is from Carthago Delanda guy. Hi Beardicus. When you're buying first edition base set, do you only buy near mint or do you go for lightly played, moderately played, heavily played? And how do you think they'll do as a raw investment for the future? So I always go near mint or lightly played. I never do moderately played or heavily played ever. Always lightly played at the very least if we're talking vintage. And I think these are some of the most underrated, undervalued cards in all of Pokemon. This is the very first English set. It's so iconic. So I buy them whenever I see them. I think they will have their day again. Next is from Michael Gallio. PokeBeard, this is your beard talking. Thank you for the continued love and care. My shine is no duller than a Mewtwo Psychic Star. That was hilarious. Me and my wife were just dying laughing. I pulled the gold Gardevoir from my first box of ME from Pokemon Center, and I'm wondering if I should sell the hype to obtain something like the Bubble Mew or even a similar card like the Gardevoir, Sylveon Tag Team from Unbroken Bonds. Will the fact that these 2 gold cards being the first of their kind keep up with the nostalgia of some of the grails from Sword and Shield? So I do like that they're really tough to pull. That's, got a lot going for them, but I don't think they're nearly as popular as, like, let's say the Bubble Mew. So I would be totally fine with selling my gold Gardevoir for the Bubble Mew. That's totally okay. Or even the Tag Team, but the Bubble Mew is a lot more popular card. You just got to think there's so many more people collecting the Scarlet and Violet era compared to the Sun and Moon era just because, they're newer people in the hobby, so they don't know a ton about Sun and Moon yet. But yeah, I think I'd be fine with that. I have a feeling the gold cards will go down in price a little bit. I think they'll still be pretty expensive. I have a feeling there'll always be, a couple $100 card or something like that. But I think they're a little overpriced at the moment. And I feel like people are kind of, faking their gold love at the moment for them just because they're so rare and so hyped up and so expensive, to where I feel like people will go back to the SIRs and stuff. But all right, next question is from @BinSteez. With sealed, graded, and raw, what's a good ratio you would recommend your collection to consist of? So if you're collecting, purely collecting, it really depends on what you like. So I like raw because for raw, I can get a lot more cards. I can buy a $1,000 graded card, or I can buy that same card raw for, a couple $100 and buy 4 or 5 or 50 other cards that I need for my collection. So I'm a raw person. Once I'm done with all of my collections and to where I'm completely caught up, to where I'm only having to collect the newer sets, which is what I'm working towards, then maybe I'll go back and start buying some more graded cards with some of my favorite Pokemon. But for me, for card wise, I'm probably 98% raw, 2% graded. And then for sealed, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're a sealed collector, you're going to have mostly sealed. But if we're talking investing, I'd be like 95% sealed. That's definitely the safest. And then, you get a couple percent for like really cheap promos. When you buy them all for $1 or $2, you stock up on those. And then for graded, maybe buy some exclusives when they're nice and cheap. We were buying a bunch of them last year, which are now $5, $6, $7, some are even over $1,000 right now, and we were paying $100 or less. But with graded cards and even raw cards, they just go up and down so much. But if you can get in when they're cheap, like I'm talking a couple dollars a card, or under $100 at PSA 10, then it's totally fine to stock up on those because they're not going to go down that much in price if they do. But super good question. All right, next is from @Lil Zendaya. I'm ready to invest in more cards because I'm trying to become a vendor. Should I wait until market stops dropping, or should I continue buying until my first show? Depends on when your first show is. So I have a big show coming up in Columbus, Ohio in a little over 2 weeks. Now, with everything starting to drop in price right now, I don't really want to be buying collections, but since I have a show in 2 weeks, I kind of have to buy collections. So, if your show's in a couple months, maybe wait a few more weeks and see what comes down in price. People will kind of panic sell too. It happens every time, and they'll sell their whole collection because they think it's going to go down to 0 or something. So yeah, it just really depends on your show. I wish you would have put when it was. But one thing you should always do is just keep looking still, maybe be a little bit more picky because you might miss out on a really good collection if you're just not even looking and you're just waiting a few weeks or a month. So just always look because you never know what's going to drop. Next is from @Asmer H. Hey, PokeBeard, I've seen your videos for the past 2 months now, and I've been curious on a topic. I hear you mention each week new seller. If I'm a genuine new seller and want to sell on TCG Player, but I see in your videos that you prefer a legit seller, how can I become a legit seller with just starting out on TCG Player? Let me know what you think. Thanks and love the videos. So your best option is cheaper cards. People don't care as much what the seller is if it's a couple dollar card, especially if you are much cheaper than everybody else. You're going to sell a lot of them. So you're going to have to do that. You might not make a lot of money on some cards right away, but that's kind of something you have to do to really grow and get those reviews and start pumping them up. But you don't need a ton. As long as you're 100% and you have, over 100, nobody's going to care. But all right, last question is from Edson Paccio 4147. Hey Beard, would you say selling Pokemon cards is a solid and fun side hustle? So it definitely can be. Sometimes it sucks, but you just have to be patient though, and you have to be watching the market constantly. You got to be looking for collections constantly. But in my opinion, it's one of the best ways to grow your collection. If you can buy people's big collections or lots at 70 or 80%, maybe get a few of those cards graded from each collection, the best looking cards, and you get a bunch of cards going, coming back PSA 10s, And then you keep buying people's collections, and you're buying some sealed, and the sealed goes up, and you start making some trades for some better cards, and those cards go up. There's so many different ways you could just do work when you start selling or trading cards on the side. Yeah, I've been doing this for 23 years now. I was 10 years old when I sold my very first Pokemon card at our family garage sale, and I sold a bunch of doubles, and I instantly went to Schindler's the next week, and I think I bought the Venusaur from base set for the collection that I needed. So I turned cards that I didn't need into a card that I've been dreaming about for months. And ever since then, I've been doing that literally every week, just constantly buying lots. I've probably bought, if I had to guess, thousands of lots. Like, it's insane. I've bought so many people's half-finished master sets. That's why I say, master sets, not the best, because I've bought so many of uncompleted master sets, and you just don't get the full value. All those basic Vs, EXs, and, random cards that are $1 or $2. People don't pay for that. They're just going to count up the big cards, and that's all you're getting money for. But yeah, if you're going to do it, you got to know all of Pokemon. You can't just know Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet Era, which is why I always recommend watch my Throwback Thursdays where we highlight a bunch of older cards. That's where you're going to find some grails or some diamonds in the rough where you can really make some crazy money, where people are sleeping on some stuff that they might not know about. Or, you get a big box of some random cards in there, and you look through there and you find some random mid-era reverse hollows, and they're super minty, and you get them graded and they're 9s and 10s, and you just never know. So yeah, it's super, super fun. Just don't overspend right away. Just make sure you can sell some of the cards first. I definitely recommend vending too. But if I were to start all over right now, I would start a TCG Player, eBay, and then, I would vend right off the bat. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. And make sure you guys check out my last card party video from a couple weeks ago. It's a super cool video. In the last 20 minutes, I did a meet and greet with Danny, and it's hilarious. You guys got to check that out. It didn't get a ton of views. I feel like a lot of card party videos don't, but definitely check it out. I promise you will not be disappointed. Then, of course, if you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my merch, my PSA link. That really helps out. Otherwise, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. If you guys want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.